and this is being reported by multiple outlets now, all new vehicles sold in the United States will soon be equipped with an AI kill switch that will determine whether you are allowed to drive or not. Now let's read a little of this. Imagine that you just received a very alarming call and you are in a panic to get home. Unfortunately, since your eyes are wide and full of alarm because of the phone call that you just received, the AI kill switch in your vehicle will not allow you to drive anywhere. This is not a scenario which may or may not happen someday. This is already federal law. All right, here we go. Check it out.
Mr. Massey and the member opposed each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky.
Mr. Chair, I rise in support of our amendment. This is co-sponsored by Mr. Perry from Pennsylvania and Mr. Roy from Texas. And I regret that we have to offer this amendment. What I'm going to describe will probably sound like a bad science fiction movie, but that's what's written into law. Right now in law, that's going to be implemented it says for 2026 and beyond. Now, the reality is the technology doesn't exist, but that doesn't keep legislators from imagining things that they would like to do to infringe on civil liberties. But there is a law that states that every vehicle manufactured is going to have a kill switch in it.
Wow.
The car itself will monitor your driving. And if the car thinks that you're not doing a good job driving, it will disable itself. So the car dashboard becomes your judge, your jury, and your executioner. Imagine this. We got a snowstorm coming. A mom takes her kids out. They're going to the grocery store. It's snowing. They're trying to get some groceries before the big storm hits. She swerves for a pothole. The neighbor's pet gets in the way, swerves for that. A first responder goes by. She pulls over. Her car says, "You got one more swerve, and then we're going to ground you." There it is. The next thing she has to avoid, an icy patch in the road. The car has adjudicated her as unsuitable for driving. It disables the vehicle, and there she's stranded. My question is, how do you appeal your sentence once your car, the technology in your car, has judged you to be incapable of driving? Once it's disabled you and your children at the side of the road, how do you appeal that? Do you press a button on the dashboard? Do you start talking to an AI? What if it really was somebody who was drunk? Are you really going to send a police car after this? Disabled vehicle? Do we have the resources to do that? There's going to be so many false positives. The technology is unworkable. That's why the DOT is still in the rulemaking process, asking for feedback on how this thing could even exist. And it's just a bad idea, but it's in law, and so our amendment would defund that. And with that, I'd like to reserve the balance of my time.
Now, folks, look, that was not something that was, that didn't come from some YouTuber. That came from our Congress. So this concept of this AI kill switch, which we'll go into more detail about this in just a moment, it's essentially a remote or automated system capable of disabling your car's operation. This is absolutely Orwellian to the max. This has the very traits of a total state control, the complete erosion of autonomy, and it has an omnipresent surveillance, again, that mirrors George Orwell's 1984. This is unbelievable, but it's not. I mean, this is, again, the beast system is taking shape and taking form right in front of our eyes. And in Orwellian society, the state or centralized power has the final say over an individual's movement. So this an AI kill switch removes the private from the private property per se. So if a government agency or corporation can literally flip a switch and kill your vehicle, the ability for it to run, you truly don't even own your own vehicle. You're essentially a subscriber to a service that can be revoked at any time. Think about this. For an AI kill switch to function effectively, the vehicle must be always on and always connected. To know when to kill the engine, the system must constantly monitor. So it's always monitoring you. By the way, Tesla's already doing that, guys. The Cybertruck, the Tesla vehicles, the cars, the SUV version, I think it's the Y version or whatever, is they have that self-driving mechanism in there. It's monitoring you. And the AI in it, the cameras, the built-in cameras are always watching you, because if you take your eyes off the road, even though it's self-driving, and you start texting on your phone, or you're reading a book, or you're doing whatever, then it will alert. It'll send up alert systems, and if you keep violating that, it will completely disable the self-driving mechanism. Now that's the soft version of this. Now we're talking about a whole other level here. We're talking about the vehicle just shutting down altogether, banning you from driving your own vehicle that you bought and purchased. So listen, here's how it's going to work. It's got to stay on and monitor, because it checks the biometrics. This checks for signs of intoxication or fatigue. So again, in the name of safety and keeping America safe, or keeping the road safe, this is what they're doing. This is the selling point. So it's going to have real-time GPS tracking, and it's going to have AI behavior analysis. So it's analyzing your driving patterns. So let's think about this for a second. So they get us into the gate by telling us that, this technology is going to stop drunk drivers. It's going to stop car theft. Okay. And that right there, people will be like, oh, this is a great opportunity. This is a great thing. And they will buy this hook, line, and sinker. But what they don't realize is this technology, just like any other technology, will evolve. And if it falls into the wrong hands, it will have detrimental ramifications. For example, what happens when they start disabling these vehicles for political protest? They prevent travel to unauthorized zones, or enforce social credit penalties by limiting citizens' mobility based on their behavior or their digital history. Now, I know that was a lot to take in. Let me break that down a little bit. So remember January 6th, all those individuals that was in proximity, whether they were involved or not, if they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, you had all these cameras, and you had this sophisticated satellite technology that were able to pinpoint these individuals and their presence. And many of those individuals lost their jobs, lost their careers. They lost everything because they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, what's going to happen if, again, this technology falls into the wrong hands, and they determine your political affiliation is a threat to them? Or somehow you post something on your social media page that they deem a threat, they deem to be terroristic in nature. It signals a red flag. This could disable your vehicle. And then what happens in a health emergency, like the pandemic of 2020? Remember when they were banning people from driving across certain states? If you lived in this state, they didn't want you to cross over in this state. They didn't want you doing this and that. Well, hello, this is something that these people would drool over. They would love to have this technology in place, because then they can, under a health emergency, they could just flip this kill switch and you're not going anywhere. And then the social credit scoring. This is something that's been in place for a while. And these companies are they're scoring citizens based on their stance of the environment, based on, again, political affiliations, all these things that they deem they want you to check all the boxes. And if you don't, then there is penalties that come with this. So this is what this is talking about. And think about this. All of this technology, guys, has to rely on a centralized power structure. So what happens if a central server is hacked or suffers some type of glitch, it goes down, then you've got literally millions of citizens that could end up completely paralyzed in traffic. You could shut down a whole entire nation if a foreign actor was to hack into this system that we're talking about here. I don't see any good coming out of this at all. Now, as of right now, automakers are arguing that the technology still is not ready because it makes way too many mistakes. Some drivers just naturally have eye or head movements that make them appear to be impaired in some way. Of course, others are extremely upset about this dystopian law because of how extremely intrusive it really is.